Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here again. Last month, we were not here because we had to be in our strategic planning. And so looks like going forward, we might be doing every other month for the HRC regular meeting. So to keep that in mind. That being said, thank you for joining us today. And I call the April 17 meeting of the Human Rights Commission to order. Let us begin with an introduction of commission members.
Xavier Welty, Commission Member.
Cody Severson, Commission Member.
Nancy Boyle, Commission Member.
Esty Sirleaf, Commission Member.
Kristen Nelson, Commission Member.
Carolyn B. Kraft, Commission Member.
Courtney Cronbach, Commission Member.
Thank you. Next item is to approve the agenda for the meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting?
So move.
Second.
Motion has been moved by Carolyn and seconded by Nancy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say sign. Motion carried. Next is to approve the minutes of the February 2025 meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minute?
So moved.
Can I obtain a second?
Second.
Motion has been moved by Christian and seconded by Carolyn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say sign. Motion carried. Next up on our agenda is legislative updates. Christian Nelson, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's
Buckle
do
up. Okay, so we are officially on the downward slide or whatever of of the legislative session. They probably have 3 weeks left to work. So it's an 80-day session when they gavel in. So there's a lot of work to do yet that they need to finish up in the next few weeks here. So I was going to highlight just a few bills that are still working their way through session and through the process. So first, House Bill 1144. This one relates to transgender student accommodations and restroom use in public schools, to provide a penalty and declare an emergency. So this bill was amended to include a provision saying a restroom for males and a restroom for females may not be located together with a communal sink or communal area where students enter and exit. So that's a lot of words to say that they didn't want communal sinks where students can mingle and maybe get together. Parents, another amendment was a parent of a student in the school district may submit a complaint to the Attorney General about a violation. And this would force the Attorney General to investigate any complaint. So basically any citizen can make a complaint about a school by going to the Attorney General when schools already have a process
Is that a pretty regular thing in public schools for there to be that communal area as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So it was amended again. So it went to the Senate and was amended again to make it more palatable for school districts, because they were talking about, like West Fargo was saying, they would need to spend like $2 to $3 million to renovate.
An unfunded mandate.
Right, unfunded mandate, yep. So the current vision, the board of a school district, public school, or public school teacher may not adopt policy guidelines, whether implicit or explicit, requiring or prohibiting an individual from using the student's preferred pronouns. So basically they say we can't create policies for or against using a student's preferred pronouns. Like we just can't do it. Amended back to the original version for the bathroom piece, a restroom or shower room on school grounds, which is accessible by multiple individuals or at one time, must be designated just for males and just for females. So they can build like the single stall restrooms, but they have to have a block for males and a block for females. Yeah.
So what happens when non-binary or intersex individuals are in the school system.
Yeah, there's a provision for that too, that they have to work with and agree with or like come to some sort of agreement with the parent or guardian about what to do in that situation.
Okay, so the parent or guardian can still talk to the school system and create a plan.
Correct.
That's just sort of super cumbersome thing to do.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we could also just let people use the restroom, right? That'd be weird. So, I don't know why we need to think about the bathroom habits of teenagers so much, but
Sure.
that's just an editorial for me. Sorry. Multi-stall gender neutral restrooms and shower rooms are prohibited. So they would have to be labeled for males and females. The Attorney General shall enforce this section and may conduct investigations by examining under oath any individual responsible for an alleged violation of this section, issue subpoenas, and apply to a district court for an order enforcing the subpoena or other investigation. So it's still putting a lot of onus on the Attorney General to take up the complaints and investigate.
They choose to not do that as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Go
so.
ahead, Nancy,
Yep.
sorry.
Mind going back and just sharing the verbiage on that again?
Which
I
one?
believe I heard it correctly. Just after you were sharing that the gender neutral restrooms and showers are prohibited.
Yep, multi-stall, gender-neutral restrooms and shower rooms are prohibited.
Okay. And then the next part there, I wanted,
Was the Attorney General section? Is that one? Okay, so the Attorney General shall enforce this section and may conduct investigation. So may is the word, right? Like, it doesn't say shall, it says may. So that means you don't have to take it up by examining under oath and then issuing subpoenas, things like that. There's a civil penalty of $2,500 for each violation, and to declare an emergency, which means it goes into effect right away after it's signed. Yes. So the interesting part about this bill, though, is that the Senate reverted this bill back to the original form, which school district found more palatable with the bathroom provision than the amended version that came out of the House committee. And so it has to get sent back to the House, and the House did not concur with the amendment, so this one will be in conference committee. So any more questions on that bill?
Who does the $2,500, is that to the school district or to the parent or
To
who?
the school district.
Oofta.
Yeah.
Okay, more money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. House Bill 1181. This relates to gender usage in North Dakota Century Code and state records. This has also been amended a couple times. Amended to include amended Century Code and state documents is the current amendment. So it says words of one gender include the other genders, and words used to reference an individual's gender, meaning the individual's sex. And so a lot of folks know gender and sex are different. Gender is a social construct, and sex, refers to biology. The original version of this bill included several references to documents and places in Century Code and documents around the state that would need to change. This new version took all that out. So I believe this one's in conference committee as well. Oh, it needs to return to the House. It needs to return to the House to agree on the amendments from the Senate. And if they agree, then it can go to the governor. If not, it goes to conference committee. So any questions on that one? That one's a weird one. A lot of people are it's very, very short, but a lot of people are really having a hard time understanding what it would do. So, House Bill 1540. This is an education savings account program or a voucher bill. This was introduced by Ben Koppelman of West Fargo. This bill would deposit funds into an account managed by the Bank of North Dakota for tuition, books, tutoring, curriculum, computers, tech hardware, etc. The Bank of North Dakota would manage the accounts that manage those funds. However, they said in testimony, they don't really know how that's going to work, who's going to manage it, what they would have to hire quite a few staff to be able to even make this happen. Non-public school, it has a provision that says non-public schools may not be regulated by DPI if they are receiving these funds. So like we have said, if they receive public school or public funds, they should still be, subject to the rules of DPI. This says, nope, you can't do that, and may not expand the regulatory authority of the state. So the state can't encroach into the non-public school business for any sort of regulations. This bill hits the Senate floor today, I believe. This will probably, in the end, go to a conference committee because there's a lot of details that are question marks here. So a lot of fiscal note is a big one, and then the Bank of North Dakota management piece, those are big question marks. So this will probably end up in conference committee as well. And then along those lines, Senate Bill 2400. This bill was written by Senator Axman. This is also a voucher bill. This would create a marketplace any public or non-public student could draw from for qualified educational expenses, similar to House Bill 1540. It's interesting because this bill received a do not pass out of committee, largely due to its big price tag. It has a huge fiscal note of about $240 million. And this bill is set to increase for each biennium. So the $240 million is the cheapest it will ever be. And an eligible student is a public school student or non-public school student that can receive up to $1,000 with a means test. It does have a means test of 300% poverty income guidelines. So they do have to meet certain guidelines to receive those.
That's higher than like standard Medicaid items.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. This bill was thought to be the one that would prevail out of the two bills, but this one it's got a lot of questions and a lot of kind of pushback on it because of the big price tag and the thought that this bill allows public school students to access the marketplace as well. So
Were there families that testified to like their kids needing money like that?
some it was the testimony is really interesting because a lot of the homeschool families, homeschool associations were against this bill.
Oh,
Because they don't want, and this bill has more requirements to it, so they don't want the additional requirements and things like that. So
okay.
they added like a firewall provision, making it so that this bill and the homeschool people could still do what they want and make it more palatable to them. But we'll see. Okay. So it's a big one. This bill was really promoted by leadership, and it's interesting that this one is a do not pass versus 1540, which received a do pass, and we thought the entire session it would be the opposite. Okay, next one is the library safety bill, which is safety in quotations. Senate Bill 2307. This bill is a library censorship bill that takes away local control from librarians, targets teachers and librarians for arrest and prosecution, could suspend access to ebooks and audiobooks through like Libby and Hoopla. It's unnecessary and expensive. It could cost up to $2 million, I think, per institution to implement, requiring libraries to add additional internet filters and they have to physically remodel some of their buildings. So this bill is currently on the way to the governor. We are asking folks to contact Governor Armstrong for a veto, as current vote numbers are not enough to overturn a veto. It would not be able to be overturned if the votes hold. So you can call 701-328-2200 and leave a message asking for Governor Armstrong to veto this bill. And then I'm just going to make two little comments one comment about school funding. We have, they have added back a 3% and a 3% for biennium, 3% increase per biennium for public school funding, which is good. For a long time, we thought we were only going to get 2%, which was going to be really, really hard for our school district. And then one more note, Governor Armstrong did sign a bill outlawing ranked choice voting across the state, which
Outlawing it?
outlawing it, which, as you know, goes against the will of our voters and home rule for municipalities. So, yay! That's all. Anybody have questions?
I guess, Commissioner Strand, is there anything, any kind of advocacy you would recommend from us on that? Because I think that's a pretty big blow to Fargo.
I really don't know what to recommend, Cody. I, however, believe that the people should never hold back from speaking up. That issue was 64% of the population voted for it. But, we, as you know, and by the way, Kristen, this is a great update.
Yeah.
Really good update. But I don't think we should shy away just because we're on different views. The reality is it probably won't get affected, but people's voices are being squelched. Their votes are being eliminated or discounted.
Thank you.
Brenda might have something to say.
I think the one thing we've been talking about internally as this has moved forward is just making sure we get really good, strong communication out there so that people know the change when it comes to how to vote. I think that's our larger concern now is how do we educate of the new rules and making sure everyone is prepared when they go in for that election.
Thank you, Kristen, for such wonderful legislative update. The HRC, I think we've got some work to do, especially when it comes to the education piece, because the public needs to be aware. And in this day and age, I think one of the problems we have is getting the public aware. And if we can do that educational piece, then there's just so much disinformation and misinformation out there, and people really don't know what to trust anymore. And that's why I think we need to take a good look at this and see what we can do. All right. That being said, item 5 on our agenda, strategic planning discussion. We had a great meeting last month to discuss our strategic plan. From that discussion, we all were able to review and comment on those notes. Today, we will form a we could do that today or whatever we decide here. We could form a strategic planning subcommittee to finalize the strategic plan, project management tools, delegate assignments, determine time frames, and communicate on strategic plan. The leadership comprising Nancy, Kristen, and myself will select and approve which strategic plan or project charter we will want to use for the year, and communicate it to Brenda and the subcommittee by April 24th. It's like next Thursday, but it's just a few days, just a week. This will be shared with the committee by Brenda via email. We are striving to have our strategic plan documents complete and ready for distribution for the May 15th or maybe May 20th meeting. So those were some things we need to consider. Any discussion on that?
I don't know that I have anything else to add except for that I missed Kristen on the email, so I'll make sure to get that sent to you. I did draft a strategic plan, and it ended up being 2 priorities to focus on for 1 year or 18 months, whatever the subcommittee ends up deciding. One of them is more external facing. It's a lot about community engagement, education, attendance at events, and then the second priority is more focused on establishing our relationship and connection with the city of Fargo to make sure that we're collaborative partners and be able to move things forward. And so it was really energizing meeting. We had a lot of great conversation, and I'm just excited to be able to get this finalized and start moving forward. One thing that we didn't decide upon when we met was a catchphrase. And so I don't know if anyone has any other thoughts on that. There were some examples in the PowerPoint presentation that we used. So if everyone just wants to take another look at that, and maybe at our next meeting we can decide, and then we can include that on the final draft of the strategic plan when we get it all cleaned up and pretty.
Sure. I think when it comes to catchphrase, we had a suggestion for 2025, which was diving deeper. So yeah, we see what the team decides on that. I know Brenda also sent out something for us to add the document. I did add to that. I contributed to that, but apparently Brenda may not have seen it, and my addition was ingrained, so I wanted it to be properly seen. So, and it's still there because I went back to it today. I opened it and it's there. So we can finalize it.
And when I finalized the draft for leadership to review, I had seen the green font text, and so that was included.
Sure. Thank you.
Have there been any updates on that website that you brought forward a couple meetings ago and being collaborative with this?
You mean the inclusive Fargo?
Yeah.
.com? Yeah, we have not got anything from the NAHRC member for the website, so I just been running it on my own.
Okay.
Yep. But it's still open for collaboration.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, just to chime in for a moment, Courtney, you did a terrific job with that exercise you went through, and I look forward to more of these engagements internally with all of you to extract from your own brains and values where we're all aiming. But thank you, sincerely. You were not an outsider brought from 100 miles away. You were right here with us, and it was great. Thank you.
You bet. No problem. Thank you for saying that.
She did an excellent job. And while we're on that, I want us to decide here, because the next meeting should be May 15. We can decide if we do it every other month to use May to continue on the strategic planning. Is that something Brenda will want to know? And if we decide to continue strategic planning in May, do we settle in with May 15 or May 20? So that's what we're looking at, because the first of the month is on Thursdays, so May has, I think, 5 Thursdays. The third Thursday will be on the 15th, and then the fourth Thursday is on the 20th. So it's something we can, is that something we can decide on here? Brenda?
In regards to, I don't know the question. So typically your meetings are the third Thursday.
Every third Thursday.
Yeah, and so I think the question becomes one at the strategic planning meeting, what we were talking about is, do you want to be here on camera at the dais every other month and then be more collaborative, strategic on those opposite months? But I thought we would keep that third Thursday just because it's on everyone's calendar.
Yep.
So it's been staying open, but that will be up to you, how you would like to move forward. I know we had a little bit of discussion at the strategic planning meeting.
So with a subcommittee, would we be allowed to have this subcommittee meet monthly as well as having the strategic planning meeting and the formal meetings every other month? So that way we're not, I just feel like there's a gap in between just meeting one time a month on these issues.
I'm wondering if we use every other month to meet for like strategic planning, not here, then we might not need a subcommittee.
Yeah, because if the whole team is involved,
Yeah.
the way I see it is until we come up with the final conclusion of subcommittee, we do every other month. And when we finalize the strategic planning, then we just go back to every month.
Yeah, I think we can decide at that time if we need a subcommittee or if we want to make assignments for some of the actions on there, and then people can report out on those. So
I think for whatever it's worth, it kind of stinks losing the actual like the open concept of this meeting, especially with because then we're not really like allowing the public comment or the like those other aspects of like what this type of meeting allows. So that kind of stinks. But I also think that like we haven't had a real heavy strategic push in a very long time either. So I guess that there's that cost benefit ratio.
I think that's a good point, and it could just be temporary too until we get it off the ground, and then reassess after 6 months and see where we're at.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And if I can jump in, it's not something we have to decide today. We can just say our next meeting will be a strategic planning meeting. We will meet back at the dais on our June. And then you can see how the May meeting went. And maybe we're at the dais the rest of the year too. So I think it's nothing we have to project out. I think we can see how things go and you guys can make that decision as we move forward.
And because was that the piece that you were kind of talking about, Xavier? Was that like losing the like?
I just feel like meeting one time a month just really. I mean, I guess we do have the planning meetings as well, but just I think it's important to meet in person and have that option available, whether it's in a community room or it's in this room. Just if we're having meetings, I think it'd be important that we can have a face-to-face almost sort of aspect to it as well, not just virtual. So I don't know if that's something that maybe we can think about as well going forward. It's difficult for me to join these team meetings and do audio calls. And I do like a more face-to-face aspect when it comes to sensitive topics in the community. So, yes.
Yeah, I think the virtual meeting came about because of people's work schedule. We wanted to have multiple participation in these meetings, and if people finding it difficult to, I love in-person meetings too. It's more effective. I really love in-person meetings, but if we're not gonna have the attendance that we, desire, then it's better we do the virtual. I understand where you're coming from with your, trying to connect with teams. You've been having that issue, but definitely, I'm open to in-person meeting too. So I think, like Cody rightly said during the strategic planning meeting, it was something we agree on that we do every other month, and so May. It was already decided, so we can just know that, okay, come May 15th with a strategic planning meeting.
Mr.
And not on
Chair,
the-
I have a conflict for that meeting, so I will
Okay.
not be able to attend. It is negotiations time, and that is a committee I sit on, so I have to be
On the
there.
15th,
Yes.
if we change the date, will you, so,
Yeah.
like which date will work for you?
I could.
Yeah, because we want you to be in the meeting. I don't want anybody absent.
Negotiations have
Yeah,
started.
I mean, the regular meeting, we can't change that date, but strategic planning meeting, we should be able to change that to accommodate everybody.
Now you're gonna throw Brenda through a loop as well.
Yeah,
In a moment.
I mean, I could be available Wednesday,
Wednesday of which,
14.
the 14th.
Yeah.
What about every one of us? Would that work for
Yeah,
us?
I have nothing going on.
Courtney?
Yep, that sounds fine.
Yep, no problem.
No problem?
How about Xavier?
Nancy.
That's a Monday or what?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Oh, you gotta be in that meeting.
Yeah, no, that would work for me.
Please hold.
Do, 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 do.
Actually, have that as an agenda item.
Yes.
Yes, because that's our agenda.
That's
Yeah, I was gonna say-
agenda.
Okay.
We just make it an hour instead of.
Yeah, Brenda, I think there's
Yeah.
still an invite on that day for the agenda setting on the 14th anyway.
Yep. So Brenda, I think that will work for us and you because the 14th is supposed to be agenda setting meeting.
Well, does she have the full hour available?
Brenda?
So here's what I'll say, is I have the time available if it's a strategic planning meeting and I'm just attending, then I can make that work. So if all we're having is a strategic plan, we are starting our budget meetings too. So my budget meetings are right up till noon and they start exactly at 1. So I can be available. If it's a strategic planning meeting, the 14th will work just fine.
I suppose with Alyssa as well, does that work? Yeah, cool, okay.
Okay, then we should be good. Okay.
So our next meeting, I'm just going to reiterate, so
Yes.
will be Wednesday, May 14th at
At
noon.
noon.
And we will do it in the Meadowlark as a strategic planning meeting.
Yes.
You want to adjust your script for that too.
Okay, so we,
And that will be 2 meetings in one. We'll do the agenda setting right there as we do the strategic planning.
Okay.
So we can take 15 minutes for the agenda.
So there's a little problem, and I apologize. So the third Thursday, which is what we typically do, is actually the 15th. So somehow my agenda scheduled meeting is off. So we are supposed to be meeting May 15th. It's somehow my agenda setting date got off. So we should have had agenda setting on the 7th for the 15th meeting.
But for whatever it's worth as well, we really don't need agenda setting in May if we're going to have strategic planning.
That's true.
Correct. So my understanding is we are not going to have a May meeting at the dais.
Yep.
We are just going to have the
Strategic
strategic
planning
planning
meeting.
meeting on the 14th.
Yeah. So we don't
Okay.
need agenda setting. Because there will be no agenda for May.
Correct. So that, I'll take that off.
Yes.
And I will send a strategic planning
Exactly.
meeting invite.
That
Okay.
Thank you. I think, yay.
Good
We
job,
got
adults.
something done. We didn't ask John if he would be available for the 14th.
It works.
Thank you. That makes me happy. All right.
Starting to throw a wrench in the
I know.
system.
Unfortunately, Richard is not here, and I did not receive information about anybody joining us remotely. So we will skip at agenda item number 6, and we go on to 7. Current developments that will be presented by Xavier Wharton.
Hi. I am going to go over some developments regarding a tenant advocacy group that is formed in Fargo, as well as some bills that have not been passed, but that have been advocated for in the North Dakota Senate and House. Some of these bills, I'm just going to start off with the bills. House Bill 1272, which would mandate move-in and move-out inspections with both tenant and landlord present. And it would basically just provide more proaction with the deposits that come back to the tenant. It was not passed. And I guess, or sorry, I don't know how to phrase that, but some of these bills were just about tenant rights and just providing protections to tenants. Currently, North Dakota does not have many tenant bills that protect tenant rights as well as protect their, finances as well as their security in this state. I'm just going to start over with these bills now. So House Bill 1272, it would mandate move-in and move-out inspections with both tenant and landlord present, and amend tenant security deposit procedures. It was one of the bills I was advocated for in this group, and it was not passed by the Senate or House. And the next bill is House Bill 1496. It would clarify landlord obligations regarding property maintenance and habitable standards. It failed Senate but passed in House. Basically, just making sure that tenants are moving into a safe and decent living facility or unit. A lot of things in the group that we've been seeing is people are living in units that have mold, and they're unsure of who to go to and talk to, whether that be the city or the state, as far as getting inspections or as far as getting some like remediation. A lot of issues that we're also seeing is like the only hope for a tenant in these situations is that they don't have any rights to withhold their monthly rent, but instead their only right is to move out from the property, which is a burden on the tenant itself. And I do see both sides for all of it as well, but at the end of the day, tenants make up over 56% of Fargo's population, yet all the rights go to the minority, which are the homeowners or property owners in the city. So House Bill 1610 prohibits landlords from charging tenant fees for paying rent using cash, checks, or money orders. It is still being held for hearing. I think that's going back to the Senate, and was introduced by the House. House Bill 1395 requires landlords to provide tenants with proof of completed background checks, or just a receipt that the background check or whatever like fee that they're being paid for like renting out the unit has been completed. That got a lot of pushback from many organizations, including NAR and the Association of, I believe it's apartments, or I'm forgetting what the association was, but there was different lobbyist groups that had fought against this bill. I think that's it was disturbing just because they're only asking for a receipt. They're not asking for very much. It would, we get receipts for everything. Even as a realtor myself, we have to provide a receipt for things that we do, or when we put money into escrow. And so I thought that was quite just disturbing that these landlords and property management companies were giving so much pushback to just providing a receipt that they completed a background check. And some of these background checks can be $35, $50 per applicant. So that gets kind of costly when you're looking for multiple units, multiple apartments, and you do have something that is on your background. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to the Senate bills now. SB 2235 defines the order in which rent payments are applied under rental agreements. I will have to get more details into what that kind of breaks down to. The next bill, though, for the Senate was SB 2236. It regulates the late fees on rents under rental agreements, just so renters aren't being charged excessive fees for being late, or it's not compounded late fees. Accidents happen, and I know it's not an excuse not to pay your bills on time, but there were tenants in the group that received excessive fees and fines. A lot of these tenants in the group are Fargo based and they're local, so I think that it's kind of a human rights sort of issue when it comes to people's housing, especially when we need housing to survive and to maintain ourselves. So Senate Bill 2237, it would empower the Labor Commission to oversee and investigate certain landlord-tenant disputes. That had failed Senate as well. I think a lot of it came down to how would that be enforced and how the Labor Commission deal with that. I personally, and this is just from my own understanding. I personally don't know if maybe the Labor Commission was the right group to sort of investigate that, mainly because this isn't sort of a labor issue. This is more of a, private and personal matter, but maybe the city could start getting involved with these issues. West Fargo recently announced an ordinance that would prohibit short-term rentals, or they were just regulating their short-term rentals. And I think Fargo last year passed an ordinance where landlords would need to give 60 days for, or I don't know if that was last year or 2 years ago, but a 60-day notice for move-outs if they didn't want the tenants to move in or to re-sign their lease, or didn't want them to stay another month. So these issues, the regulations can be regulated by the city. And from what I'm seeing, it just takes people wanting to step up and, make these changes. Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of these bills, none of them passed. They all failed, and I think it was a huge blowback to the people of the city and state. A lot of renters who, they spend their time and money renting, and they don't get anything back from it. They don't even get security of being able to live in their property or live in a home that they're paying for every single month. There's hardly any advocacy. I believe there was about 800 evictions last year in Fargo alone. I believe that was just Fargo. So that's over 2 evictions a day. And so, 98% of those people did not have any advocacy when they were going to court. And so it's really disheartening and frustrating that, we have these things going on and there's nobody to advocate for these people.
Some of those cases, did they talk to the fair housing?
I did call Fair Housing or High Plains, and Bree and I have been in an email chain. I think they were trying to start an eviction sort of program where they would help people like stay in their housing. They would try to work with landlords and with people as well. But she had told me since this sort of administration has come into office, a lot of their funding has been cut. So it's, funding has been cut for these programs that are supposed to help people, and it's only making things worse for them. One of the House bills that I believe it was the 1272, that House bill was a big focus in this group as well, mainly just because many people experienced their deposits not coming back to their accounts, and it's usually due to landlords saying that they basically wear and tear. Like the wear and tear isn't really defined in the and it leaves it up to its open interpretation. So more a defined interpretation of like what wear and tear is, and what exactly like this deposit is going towards would really help with some of these deposit issues. So
Sure. Because we're tight on time. Yep. So great presentation. Do we have any discussion on that? Yeah, because I know normally they do walk through before and after, and people take pictures. Because I know how that can be. Because a hotel tried to do that to me too.
And I get it too. We don't want, we want people to respect the property as well. But, you're living in a property for 4 years and, there's scuffs on the carpet and, there's nail holes in the wall. That shouldn't be the difference between your deposit and not having it back. So.
I'm just excited to tackle this through strategic planning as well, because I think that's
Mr. Chairman, if I, Xavier, thank you for bringing this topic forward. It's absolutely ripe in our community for extensive review and discussion and drilling deeper. Everywhere we turn, there's tenants and landlord issues
Yes.
that are left in the balance, and the people are just really at risk. Here's what I would suggest, and there's an endless list of horror stories on both sides. But there's no committee in our city that really addresses this right now. We don't have a community development committee anymore. That's where this used to land. That's where we used to talk about rental registries, for example. And what I would suggest you do is a couple thoughts, and I'll stop. I'd encourage you to have a town hall where you listen to people, rather than us just assuming we don't,
It's very-
let's invite the public in to tell us their concerns and their stories and see what we learn. Then I would suggest we visit with our administration and legal teams to find out what avenues of legal routes can we go as a city for both sides, the landlords and the tenants. But I'd start hearing from the people, invite them forward. So we've all heard some just amazing things, but this is a really good topic, and I'll stop there, but thank you. It's one to go forward regardless of the legislature being almost done.
Right.
So are you suggesting, do we just invite the community and not the landlords, or do we put the two?
Everybody,
groups in the same
you can
room?
invite both.
Yep.
And, and we can arrange it that it's not we can do that, a town hall here. I did one on climate issues about 4 years ago. People were astounded at the turnout.
That's good. That's something we.
And if nobody shows, nobody shows. If they show, then you listen.
Yeah, another suggestion and something that we had as an action potentially in the strategic plan. So perfect that you brought that
Yes.
up as a listening tour. We could consider that, where people may not want to come here and speak in front of a lot of people, but do a listening tour. And I think that another thing on our plan is to recommend policy to the city commission. So that could be a good opportunity too.
So that brings us to maybe 2 town halls that we can host this year. The Know Your Rights is still in the works, and then rental issues. I think those are very key. Those are very urgent matters that we need to address. Thank you, Xavier. While we talk about those things in the city, something came up too the other day in the community. A father had to approach me because he took his 16-year-old son. Father is a U.S. citizen, brought his son over into the country, 16 years old, went to Walmart and signed for him to work at Walmart. So 16 years old, he's new, less than a year in the country, trying to learn new things, learn the new culture. And he goes to work every day. He's excited, very excited. And the father called me. He has been fired. And I wanted to know why he was fired. And adults put this 16-year-old in the room, and they tried to force him to confess to a crime that he did not commit. I thought that was inhumane. I didn't know where to look, and I said today I will bring that up here. I'm sure our legal expert can point us in the right direction. And so I had to go to Walmart, and I wanted to speak with the manager, and they all tried to stall the process. Okay, you said he's on video. Show us the video. This is the father. They said they can't show the video to the father. Is what they will keep for themselves. Okay, so how do you convince the father he did something? They put another manager on the phone, and he's telling us the only evidence he has that this young man did something wrong was he saw him stand at a counter because he comes from school and he goes there. So during lunchtime, he goes to the food court, and then he buys food. He scan and pay for whatever's on it. So their complaint is that he's been underpaying for product. Okay, but the product has a price tag on it. He scans it, and whatever the price, that's what he pays. And they said, they tried to tell me that, it was fraud by underpaying. So I'm, okay, you convinced me how to say it's fraud. He stole label and pasted it on it. How does he have access to the label to paste on the product you know, and they just tore his life apart. He went home. It so affected him. That's his first job ever. And he's having a rough time in his family's home with his siblings. And, you know, I thought that was disheartening. And Walmart was just being so cavalier about it. They tried to push us out. They don't want to do anything. And I told them, I'm going to follow this through. So I don't know, in these kind of situations, what do we do? Where do we look? Because it's a human rights issue.
I guess if you're looking at me.
I was
I
looking
don't,
at the
I
lawyer.
don't, I don't know that I have I mean, right, you're asking the question. I know, there's a couple of things and I don't know all the different areas they work. I know I've had a couple of meetings with Legal Aid of North Dakota working to try and get more of a presence to help people in Fargo. And so I know they're working on getting more of a presence here. They've been strong out west, but not as much on the eastern side. And so we're working with them on how to set up an office and where we can set them up to allow to have some presence here. So that's what I know, being just hearing it and off the cuff type of answer.
The little bit of knowledge I have, and people certainly correct me, I know North Dakota is an at-will state, but that individuals can still bring forward potential wrongful termination. How far does it go? Being an at-will state makes a difference too. There is always the option if somebody feels that they were discriminated in being fired because of something, that could be a report or a complaint to the Department of Labor and Human Rights in the state. That would be that entity that would take that piece. Although Walmart's obviously international since it's located within the state.
I was going to suggest also the state's Department of Human and Labor Rights. I think, that, like you said, I think that they'd be the kind of the first place to get a recommendation of what to do. Because, the whole at-will thing is such a minefield.
Right. Because although they're claiming right now that it's fraud, is there additional pieces or a protected class that could possibly be involved? So that group or that entity will at least review it and then make a decision if they could move forward.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was so disheartening that it takes so much energy to prove discrimination in that space. And so, like, even your disenfranchised individuals have to spend so much time and energy to make a wrong right there.
Yeah.
And that just sucks in our society so much.
Well, and what Cody just said, I think is perfect in the realm of so many things of it's the person that is potentially being harmed that then has to bring all the evidence forward to say, and I'm still being harmed throughout this process.
Right, the whole thing is traumatic.
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
traumatic.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. We will invite Brenda to give us an update on Juneteenth.
And so in your packet today, you have the proposal for what we will see at Juneteenth this year. And then the city is we had budgeted some money for the MLK event and the Juneteenth event. And then Fred has talked to, I think, Zoe, and there are a few people on there that we will be able to have a booth. We just have to fill out that paperwork.
Is there anything else that we could do as well at Juneteenth this year besides just the booth? Like maybe, I don't know, any ideas?
So I think you could talk to Zoe. There is typically a planning group. I was in the MLK planning group, but I'm not in the Juneteenth one. So I would reach out to Zoe and get that contact information. I'm sure they would like to see more people helping out and participating in that planning. So I think that would be something you could do. If there's something more that HRC wants to do, that would be up to all of you.
Well, and I read in the proposal here too, that they're adding in some breakout sessions for both youth and adults. So that might be an entity when we look at those various topical pieces. We could talk to Fred, or Zoe could talk to Fred Edwards and see if any of those sessions are panels, anything like that, would HRC be able to have possibly somebody speak or share a little bit at that time too. So there might be additional options beyond just the booth with that addition. So,
Yeah,
who
I
knows?
think for the last Juneteenth, I think Cody was the chair, and we had a booth downtown. We were there. Maybe Cody can speak on that. If
No.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you're right. We did have a booth there. That was fun. I was gonna say that our next meeting is going to be Juneteenth. That's interesting. That's a fun
Oh
fact.
yeah.
So there's that as well.
All right. Thank you, Brenda. Is there any administrative updates?
So I do, just so you all know, I was delivered a packet of pamphlets from the Fair Housing Group. So we have those for all of us to use. And then also, I have them here, some name tags that were made have been dropped off. And so they were dropped off at my office for the committee. They were made by, it's my understanding, I was not there, but it's my understanding that Ryan Netterville made them for the committee in support of the committee.
Wow.
And so they are all here for you to take a look, and to take a look at.
And those are not your formal name tags. These are gifts to you from somebody in the community. Keepsakes more than anything, but it's, because Carolyn, I see you smiling. I know you've been asking for name tags for a while.
for
and
so long.
This is not the solution to that. I don't think. Anyway.
We need more people like Ryan.
Oh, I exist to be a thorn in your side, I guess.
Please let Ryan know he has our highest appreciation from the HRC.
Did we have any submissions from the website?
No.
Any team member has any administrative update or announcements? Do we have any announcement I would like to announce and to congratulate our vice chair, Nancy Boyd. She was yesterday inducted into the tapestry of inclusion at NDSU. I was there to witness the event, and it was really, really wonderful. I should have thought about it. I got lots of good pictures. I would have put that on the screen for us to see. And we want to say congratulations to Nancy.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was a surprise, and I will accept the honor, although it still feels a little weird.
Another announcement. Someone had a birthday here in April. Or happy birthday, Mr. Strand.
Happy.
I'm 70 now.
That's wonderful. 70 years young.
And then in terms of LGBTQ plus things going on, I think the Lavender graduation is happening next week at MSUM for all queer college students who are graduating this May. So that's happening over at MSUM for the college students in the area.
And thank you for saying that, Cody. Just reminded me this afternoon, Kayla Jones, alum from NDSU and now working at MSUM, will be doing an hour to 90-minute presentation on intersectionality and really focusing on that of LGBTQ. So that's 3 p.m. this afternoon at NDSU. I can't think of the room, but if you...
Anishinaabe.
Thank you. Yes, so Memorial Union, and just ask where Kayla Jones is at.
Yeah.
Somebody will direct you to the correct space.
And currently, there's an event going on at the Fargo Dome, I think sponsored by the Lutheran Social Services, about older New Americans and older people in the society. So you can stop by. It started at 9, and I think it continues 2 p.m. So from here, I'll be stopping by too. Thank you. All right, we really on the hour. We public comments. Do we have anybody sign up for public comments? So I don't think we have any public comments. So that just takes us right on the time. Is there any other business? If there's no other business, this meeting of the Human Rights Commission is hereby adjourned. Our next meeting will be our strategic planning meeting on Wednesday, May 15 at noon. And May 14. Right. May 14, Wednesday, May 14 at noon. Thank you. And the next regular HRC meeting will be June 19th. Thank you for joining us today, and you have a good one the rest of the day.